Thank you. And let me
being
start out
attentive.
by congratulating you, Chair Landrieu, on your new role. This is great to see you in the chair, and I look forward to our work together in the years to come. I want to associate myself with some of the comments of Senator Stabenow before she had to depart, because you know, they say all politics is local, and when you think about it, this is obviously a large country, and I think it's fair to say that, as with other energy issues, the policies that we're discussing today don't necessarily affect all of our states in an even manner. And like Senator Stabenow, Wisconsin is one of the lead manufacturing states in the United States. In fact, I think right now it can boast the role of #1 manufacturing state as a percent of our overall economy. And I note, because of the focus of today's hearing, that we don't have a witness that's representing consumer voices today. And obviously, they're a very important part of this weighty discussion, and so I look forward to future opportunities to hear from those witnesses also. Mr. Semensky, I'd like to ask you a few questions this morning, and well, no, it is still this morning, just checking. The paper industry is a major part of Wisconsin's manufacturing and economy, and our paper companies are working hard to compete in a very trade-sensitive, trade-impacted industry, while also complying, obviously, with environmental quality standards that some of their, well, most of their foreign competitors do not face. Paper mills that would like to switch over to natural gas have been unable to secure a supply of fuel because of inadequate infrastructure. Many companies don't have adequate access to natural gas, yet today we're, of course, talking about increasing our exports of natural gas. So my first question for you is, how will increased exports impact the construction of gas infrastructure for companies that companies in Wisconsin might be able to rely on?
Senator Baldwin, let me just start off by saying that in EIA's reference case forecast, we have natural gas consumption in the paper industry overall nearly doubling between 2010 and 2040. And in general, we have very strong growth in industrial natural gas consumption. So I don't think that there is a shortage of gas, in a sense, that would lead to problems in the manufacturing industries. On the issue of infrastructure, which you asked about, you know, there is the Secretary of Energy, Secretary Moniz, has a big, and the President have a quadrennial energy review underway that intends to directly address these infrastructure issues. Let me back up just a second and start with, on the issue of natural gas production in the U.S., there is no dispute that I can find in the economic literature on either side of this that the positive impacts on jobs and GDP from the production activity are really strong. On the jobs impact of exports, the literature is somewhat mixed, but interestingly, it seems to be relatively minor. So the impacts on GDP and the impacts on jobs from exports are small because the exports are a small proportion of the overall production in the U.S. and the overall global markets. One of the things that I think Mr. Chow said that I'd like to come back to is that U.S. manufacturers are always, anybody that's an industrial consumer of gas or even electric utility consumer of gas is always going to have an advantage over a global LNG market, which is going to tend to go in, is going to be 2 or 3 times higher in price than the average price for gas at the wellhead in the U.S. So then if we come back to the question of, well, what is the difficulty that you're having in your state of Wisconsin with the paper industry being able to get gas? I think it's really not so much a question of the overall availability of gas. It's how do you get those pipelines built to take the gas from where it is to get it into those companies. And that's something that the utilities and the companies themselves are going to have to work out. And I think that the intent of the Quadrennial Energy Review is to try to see if there are any policy bottlenecks that could help in that area.
Yeah, I would just, if I might, Chair Landrieu, my time has run out, and I did want to ask some other questions, but on that comment, we have perhaps a deep skepticism this particular year, and I'm going to switch fuels for a second, but having been told that there were adequate supplies of propane at a time that there were incredible increases in exports, we had a dire emergency where 250,000 people were having trouble heating their homes in Wisconsin, and a lot of it had to do with that that infrastructure and being diverted for more profitable fuels, so that they could, even change directions and put other fuels in them. And so, being able to respond to this need in manufacturing is going to be real critical to our domestic employment, our domestic economy. Thank you. I note my time has run out.